Everyone, this video will be talking about one of the major ethical dilemmas Nike faced many years back, using child labor to produce its products. Firstly, let's start with understanding what is a responsible business and why is it important. This term refers to the practice of conducting business with consideration for ethical, environmental, and community goals in addition to being a good employer and attempting to make a profit. To start with, it's generally agreed upon that loyalty to responsible business practices dictates healthy working conditions for employees. And while we've come a long way in the world now, there's still a lot to be done for ensuring things like healthy indoor air. In addition, the business should promote fairness and equality in employee relationships and show no tolerance for discrimination, bullying, or harassment. This would be considered respecting human rights. It probably goes without saying, but environmental responsibility makes a large part in discussions of responsible business practices. Some companies will not do anything if it negatively impacts the environment. Others will attempt to strike a balance between earning profits and impacting the environment. Now, contributing back to the community is another big topic in responsible business practices. These contributions can take the shape of financial donations from the company or by coordinating volunteer efforts among employees. Now coming to the question, why use responsible business practices? Some believe it helps attract and retain employees. Others say it helps improve customer sales and loyalty. Also, it helps safeguard a company's corporate reputation and strengthen its community relations between employees as well as outsiders. On a more practical side, adopting environmentally responsible practices can help reduce energy and water consumption and thereby reduce the cost of doing business.
It's an American multinational sportswear company predominantly known for designing and developing athletic shoes and sports equipment. The company was founded in 1964 by Bill Bowerman and his former student Phil Knight. Since the 1980s, Nike has steadily expanded its business and its product line with the help of numerous acquisitions. Nike owes a huge part of its success to sports players who were signed by Nike as an endorsement. In the past couple of years, they've also been accused for being involved in many unethical and illegal activities related to their employment policies and manufacturing method. One of its very first scandals came into light in 2003, where the company found numerous cases in abusive treatment, both physically and verbally, to workers manufacturing its product. Ever since then, Nike has been trying to clean their mess and regain its reputation by introducing new CSR policies. One of the most serious scandals in which Nike was involved was using child labor for production of soccer balls and other Nike product. Before looking into the case study, let's first talk about child labor and why it's a punishable offense. The International Labour Organization defines child labor as work that is mentally, physically, or socially harmful for children. This type of work also interferes with their education. Many countries have declared child labor as illegal, and anyone who indulges in such activities is punishable under the law. Every government has different laws regarding this matter. However, most countries have prohibited adolescents between the age of 14 to 18 working in any dangerous occupation. In extreme cases, children are forced to work under the threat of violence or death. This problem is very prevalent in third world countries where families are always looking for an extra income to meet their basic need. In such countries, the poverty and unemployment levels are very high, which forces the children to drop their schooling and work a low-wage job where no expertise.
It has become very easy for organizations to outsource their manufacturing units from a different country. Globalization plays a huge role in this aspect, for big companies to hire contractors who have access to cheap labor in third world countries. Laws and regulations are now very stringent, and governments welcome huge organizations to set up their manufacturing processes in their country for numerous reasons. However, these organizations do not always have the workers' best interests in mind, which tends to put these workers in a vulnerable position. Nike was accused of being involved in illegal activities in their factories located in Vietnam, China, Pakistan, and Indonesia. One such situation that we would like to put light upon happened in the Sialkot district of Pakistan. Many factories are located in this industrial area, which are predominantly owned by contractors who act as middlemen in this process. These contractors source cheap and unskilled labor to produce goods for Nike in their factories. However, to increase their share of profit in this situation, they breach labor laws and even go to the extent of using child labor. It was estimated that more than 7,000 children between the ages of 7 and 14 were involved in production of Nike footballs. These children worked full-time hours stitching footballs with their bare hands and usually in very bad working conditions. These kids were verbally and physically abused by their employer and denied food and water until they completed their work. They were also forced to work overtime without any extra payment. So next time you go to a Nike store to purchase a football, remember that it could have been made by the bare hands of a child. Another similar case happened in Han Se, Vietnam, where Nike's factories were managed by supervisors. The labor in these places consisted of 75% women ranging from the age of teens to early 20s. They worked 9 to 13 hours a day, 6 days a week, and even opt to work overtime to meet their financial needs. The situation would often lead to a burnout. However, that was not their only problem. They were also victims of wage theft and verbal abuse and labored at temperatures well over the legal limit of 90 degrees, to a point where they would just collapse over their sewing machine. The politicians were getting paid off by the factory supervisors to limit government interference. The politicians would relay the information to military and police units who overlooked the conditions in the factories so that legal environments could remain open and function. A typical case of corruption. Many such stories have come into picture ever since then involving Nike and their unethical labor practices. A documentary had come out in the early 2000s made by a man and a woman named Jim Keedy and Leslie Kretsu. These two individuals decided to move to Indonesia and live like Nike factory workers for a month. They lived on the same wages as them and the same houses to see if they could survive in the living conditions as these workers. Their conditions were horrible. They slept on tiny mattresses.
Stakeholders are defined as any group or individual who can affect or is affected by the achievement of the organization's objective and are less able to coordinate with each other and unify against the behavior of the company, which in this case is Nike's child labor scandal. Despite the organization's growing success, Nike has been inundated with criticism since the 1990s regarding the unethical treatment of employees. As well as this, there is evidence to suggest that Nike has participated in child labor in Pakistan. Since Nike's corporate social responsibility strategy gives top priority to customers as a stakeholder group, customers are significant because they affect the company's revenues from the sports shoes, apparel, and equipment market. Because of this, customers protested Nike and boycotted its products, which caused a negative effect on the brand image, customer brand loyalty, and consumer trust. Regardless of the effort you put into place to overcome these issues, Nike still faces ethical problems on a daily basis, primarily relating to social injustice, uneducated workers, workplace abuse, and poor employment pay levels. Unfortunately, supervisors and important stakeholders such as communities and interest groups failed to prevent these issues from occurring and aided in the unethical treatment of workers worldwide.
The article was quite devastating for Nike's brand image. As Nike was exposed, they faced protests from the consumer groups and stakeholders. Nike also began losing sales from the American consumers who were horrified by the notion of Nike using child labor and sweatshops, hence expressed their concerns by boycotting Nike's products. Nike was urgently forced to take action in order to avoid further damage of its brand image. Remaking the soccer balls would cost $100 million immediately and would differ from the future creation extensively. The organization chose to stop using the item and dropped its agreement with Saga, the supplier company, and moved to Silver Star, where all the work would be done on plant premises. In response to the wave of criticism, the Sialkot Chamber of Commerce and Industry signed the Atlanta Agreement with the ILO and UNICEF to implement a program to eliminate child labor from the soccer ball sector. As a result of the agreement, the ILO's program IPEC arrived in Sialkot to monitor local production of soccer balls and to provide various social protections, training, and other income-generating activities for the families whose children used to work in stitching plants. Followed by the scandal in Pakistan, Nike was reported to have an association with yet another scandal of employing child labor in Cambodia, upon which Phil Knight, the chairman and founder of Nike, immediately tried to convince Nike's critics that it had only ever employed children accidentally. When it was exposed by BBC as having employed children in Cambodia, the company claimed it and re-examined the records of all three.
Of the many accusations against Nike regarding the violation of human rights in factories, these unethical business actions have had multiple long-term impacts. The negative publicity coming from reports that highlighted Nike's disregard of human rights abuses has led to a long-standing perception among human rights and labor rights activists and general public that Nike was irresponsible. To also increase scrutiny on the company's factories, especially in developing countries such as Indonesia and Cambodia. The unethical actions and criticism from human rights activists and consumers led Nike to take more deliberate measures to demonstrate responsible and ethical business operations and corporate responsibility. Nike responded to a 1991 report of labor abuses by creating a factory code of conduct in 1991, followed by a department designed to enhance the lives of factory workers in 1996, following more human rights abuses and child labor exposures on Nike. These measures helped to improve the firm's outcome regarding the issues of child labor and human rights. The company has over the years devoted significant efforts to achieving high levels of working conditions on factories, besides raising the minimum working age and wages for workers. Nike constantly updates its commitment to acting responsibly and ethically, including taking measures to ensure human rights and labor rights are respected and vices such as forced labor, human trafficking, and modern slavery are shunned. The fact that many countries have enacted laws and regulations to eliminate child labor and other forms of human rights abuses in workplaces have aligned with Nike's deliberate efforts to improve its child labor issues with the aim of eliminating them. In 2019, Pakistan made notable steps towards the elimination of the worst forms of child labor, the Punjab Domestic Workers Act of 2019.
This said, you must always remember that child labor is a significant problem that is widely present in our society. In the world's poorest countries, around 1 in 4 children are engaged in child labor, the highest number of whom, 29%, live in sub-Saharan Africa. The International Labour Organization states in its latest World Report on Child Labor that there are around 265 million working children in the world, almost 17% of the worldwide child population. There's even a specific day in the calendar, World Day Against Child Labor, to spread awareness of this problem. While associations have all the right to maintain and secure their standing, this does not allow them to use children to reach that high reputation.